So a question keeps coming up as to why Hamas would choose to carry out this particular kind of attack now. What was the strategic thinking behind it? Well, when you look at the big picture, right now we're seeing the Arab world writ large beginning to see and accept Israel as a potential partner. Even Saudi Arabia is on the verge of normalizing their ties. As this unfolds, the United States was nudging Israel to extend an olive branch to the Palestinian Authority, and that didn't actually sit well with Iran, or Hamas for that matter. Now, I don't believe Hamas is taking direct orders from Iran, but it's clear they're working hand in hand. Their shared aim to throw a wrench in these peace efforts between these Arab nations and Israel, which posed a genuine threat to both Hamas and Iranian ambitions. Their actions aim to put Arab leaders in a tight spot, especially those who've extended a hand of peace toward Israel or are considering doing so. Iran and Hamas want to send a message that they can challenge Israeli power in the region and the Israeli military. We were close to a security agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia, coupled with talks of U.S. security assurances to the Saudis, and that made Iran nervous. Hamas and Iran, in all probability, see this as a cue to intervene, fearing their dwindling influence in the region is going to set up some sort of further problem for the Iranians in the future. When the dust settles and the world watches American-made weapons in Israeli hands, it's bound to stir the pot, including for the Saudis. Leaders like the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia will be caught between a rock and a hard place. Do they stand firm against such tides of anger aimed at Israel by the Arab world, or do they try to maintain stability, which means that they would oppose the Arab world, but it figures into their interests by opposing Iran, a country that they have been staunchly opposed to for many, many years until just recently when they started normalizing ties again. Additionally, I believe Hamas misread the stomach for other militant groups to join their cause. They perhaps expected Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade, and others to take up their cause and a larger stream of support from Iran. This factored into the calculus of hitting the launch button on this attack for Hamas. And the damage Hamas was able to do to the Israelis harkens back to the Yom Kippur War of 1973. They were able to capture people and kill Israelis in a way that had never been done before, at least in the last 30 years or so, or 50 years or so, excuse me. So that will inspire some in the Middle East. Unfortunately, probably some in the West Bank to do the same. However, as of yet, none of those inspirations have come to fruition. None of the movements have taken place from those groups I previously mentioned, but that may change with the prospect of an Israeli ground invasion. Even so, Hamas likely didn't expect the attack to lead to an Israeli withdrawal from the West Bank or other territorial concessions. Senior Hamas officials said that this attack was in response to Israeli crimes against the Palestinian people in Jerusalem and the West Bank, and it was used to break the blockade of Gaza Strip. They also said it's meant to free thousands of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. So the hostages Hamas seized during the operation are a means to an end, giving Hamas a bargaining chip with the Israelis and others around the world for the release of some or all of the thousands of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. Hamas learned an important lesson in 2006 when they abducted Israeli Defense Force soldier Gilad Shalit. 5 years later, they were able to trade that one soldier for more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. The implication of what happened there was not lost on Hamas. So these hostages, again, are a bargaining chip. And before the latest attack on Israel, Hamas said it wanted to resist Israeli occupation and to seek revenge for Israel's 2021 raid on the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is in Jerusalem. Regardless of reasoning Hamas gives, the fact of the matter is Hamas solely exists to really oppose Israel. There's a core constituency in Hamas that this is what they live for, this is what they're trained for, this is what they want to be doing. So leaders who are constantly looking over their shoulders are concerned that they still need to show they can bring the fight to Israel. Otherwise, those leaders may be deposed by younger, more ambitious members, or those members may defect to other groups, thus weakening Hamas. In reality, it's likely a combination of all of these things. However, now that the die is cast, there's no telling if Hamas has enough support both internationally or within Israel itself to follow through and to generate even a small victory over Israel before the Israelis, with the support of their partners, severely weaken or even eliminate Hamas entirely.